Today we'll look at the head-to-head matchup of two of tennis's greatest ever players, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. The first meeting between the two would take place in March of 2004 at the Miami Open. A 17-year-old Nadal would upset the world number one Federer in straight sets. 12 months later in Miami, Federer would come from 2-1 down and 1-4 in the fourth to claim their first 5-set match. Their third meeting was their first on clay and their first in a Grand Slam. Nadal would take the semi-final of the French Open in 4 sets, the start of a dominance against Federer on this surface. Nadal would end Federer's 56 consecutive match-winning streak with a win in Dubai, as both players produce extremely high-quality tennis. Nadal would then defeat Federer in 3 straight clay court finals in Monaco, Rome and France. The Rome encounter was thrilling, with Nadal saving 2 championship points in the 5th and coming from 3-5 down in the final set tiebreaker to win the greatest clay court match the two ever played. It meant Nadal had won 6 of their first 7 matches to establish an early dominance over Roger Federer. Federer would defeat Nadal in the 2006 Wimbledon final in their first of 3 straight Wimbledon finals. By the end of 2006, with a Masters Cup win on hard courts in China, Federer had reduced Nadal's head-to-head lead to 6-3. Their first 3 meetings in 2007 would be on clay, with Federer getting his first win on clay between the two at the Hamburg Masters in Germany, also breaking Nadal's brilliant 81 match-winning streak on that surface in the process. However, Nadal's win in the final of the French Open would mean that he had a dominant 6-1 head-to-head record on that surface. Like 2006, Federer would beat Nadal in the final of Wimbledon and again at the Tennis Masters to make the overall standings between the two 8-6 to Nadal, the closest Federer would ever get. In 2008, Nadal would defeat Federer on 3 straight occasions on clay, culminating in the French Open final win where Federer would only win 4 games for the match. In their 3rd straight Wimbledon final, Nadal would arguably win tennis's greatest ever match in the history of the sport with an amazing 5-set win, taking the 5th 9-7 in a match just shy of 5 hours. It would be Nadal's breakthrough win away from clay in Grand Slam tournaments. In another epic final, this time at the Australian Open, Nadal would again win in 5 sets. At this point in time, he had won 3 of the last 4 Grand Slams, with all 3 wins coming against Federer. He also had won their last 5 encounters to make the head-to-head scoreline 13-6 in his favour. Rather surprisingly, Federer would break the 5-match winning streak with a straight sets win in front of Nadal's home crowd at the Madrid Masters in Spain, giving Federer his 2nd and to date final win on clay against Rafa. A year later, Nadal would extract some revenge, taking out the Madrid Masters, this time defeating Federer in the final. Federer would end 2010 with another World Tour Finals win over Nadal, a tournament he would excel in. It was their 8th straight meeting that was a final, the longest streak they would reach, as the emergence of players like Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray would end an era of domination from these two. To give an indication of their dominance, between 2004 and 2010, 24 of the 28 Grand Slams were won by one of these two players. They met 4 times in 2011, with Nadal winning in Miami and Madrid, and his win over Federer in Paris was the 5th time he had done so and the 4th time in a final. Once again, Federer would defeat him at the end of year World Tour Finals, the one tournament Federer would have the upper hand against Nadal in. Early 2012, the pair would meet again in Australia, this time at the semi-final stage, Nadal taking it in 4 sets, doubling the amount of wins Federer had against him. Though in their 2nd and final meeting for the year, Federer would beat Nadal at Indian Wells. Nadal would have an excellent 2013, winning 2 Grand Slams and completely dominating Federer in their 4 meetings. He won at Indian Wells and in Rome, both in straight sets. Federer would take Nadal to 3 sets before Rafa won in Cincinnati, and finally at the World Tour Finals, Nadal would beat Federer for the first time in that tournament with a straight sets win. The 2013 scoreline was 4-0 in favour of Nadal, and he had won 8 of the last 9 sets played between the pair. Their only meeting in 2014 would come at the Australian Open. Federer had changed rackets and coaches leading into this tournament, but it was the same old result against his old rival, with Nadal defeating him in straight sets. It took the head-to-head lead out to 23-10 to Rafa. They would meet only once in 2015 on Federer's home soil at the Switzerland indoors. Federer would defeat Nadal in the final in 3 sets. A long break would entail, with both players suffering from serious injuries in 2016, but in a fairy tale Australian Open final, both would meet for the fourth time in that tournament. Nadal had a 3-0 head-to-head record over Roger at this tournament and would be up 3-1 in the fifth, but Roger would win 5 straight games to take out a memorable tournament win and his 18th Grand Slam title. Having taken out the last 2 encounters, Federer would, for the first time in this head-to-head battle, peel off a hat-trick of wins with a straight-set win over Nadal at Indian Wells. Their 37th meeting at Miami, a place where it all started for them, would be Federer's 4th straight win over Nadal. He would win in straight sets in the final, reducing Nadal's lead to 23-14. On clay, Nadal leads by a lopsided 13-2, grass Federer holds a 2-1 advantage, and on hard courts, their most even surface, Federer leads 10-9. It's been a great battle and hopefully a few more chapters yet to be written between these two legends of sport.